What's up, world, and welcome back to the 7-7. Now, this past Monday, Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced that the Department of Justice is going to roll out a new policy that will make it easier to seize the property of drug traffickers. Now, to quote the Washington Examiner, Sessions is a supporter of civil asset forfeiture, which allows law enforcement to seize any property they allege is involved in a crime. Police can keep or sell the property, which could vary from cash to cars to real estate. He also said that no criminal should be allowed to keep the proceeds of their crime, quote unquote. I wonder if he feels the same way about people who have benefited from slavery, or those people who have benefited from, people that sold, illegal, alcohol, bootlegging, or doing illegal real estate deals, violating people's civil rights. People that just broke the law all the time to make these millions or billions of dollars, but somehow not paying taxes, but somehow still able to continue their business. But I digress. According to the Institute for Justice, only 7 states plus the District of Columbia block law enforcement access to forfeiture proceeds. The rest of the states allow at least 45% of the value of the forfeited assets to be directed to law enforcement use. And currently there are only 13 states that require a conviction before forfeiture, which basically means if you're riding down the street, get pulled over, you get pulled over and you have hundreds, maybe couple $1,000s, whatever in your pocket, and police ask you where you got it from. If you don't have no receipts or no documentation as to where you got it from, they can pretty much just take it until you come down to the courthouse, prove where you got it from, and then we'll give it back to you. But we've all heard stories of where you go down there to get your money and they still don't give it all back to you, even if you can prove where it came from. Also, a 2014 Washington Post investigation found that police had seized $2.5 billion in cash alone without warrants or indictments since 2001. Now, also the Justice Department has reenacted an equitable sharing program in March of 2016, where under federal forfeiture policy, the police are usually able to keep up to 80% of the assets that they seize instead of the state mandated 45%. Now, I find this story interesting because I'm always thinking about current laws and the prison system and the justice system as a whole. And as you get to studying the justice system and how it works, you come to find out that majority of these laws are not put out here to help the community in any way. You think about when people go to prison now, they have cut out a majority of the programs to where you can learn a trade or get anything other than a GED. You can't get college degrees. I mean, you go to prison, they send you there as a punishment, and then they put you out and they expect you to get, a job or to get gainful employment to where you can take care of yourself. And a lot of times you may got kids, so you got to take care of yourself and take care of your family as well. But then people get out and there are no opportunities like that. So you have to find a way. Most times you got to, create your own business, which is something that people should learn how to do as a child. That should be taught how to learn how to make your own money, how to start a business at a young age, so you can always have that to fall back on. Matter of fact, it should be your goal number 1 in life, is to own your own business from the jump. But anyway, as I was saying, what my problem is, where are the programs or where are the laws that actually are out there to help benefit the neighborhood? And what I'm getting at is this here. Now, this law here is to punish, seize assets from the drug dealers. Okay, because he said drug dealers shouldn't be able to keep any of their money or profit off of their money. So my thing is, why are there not any laws? Let me say it like this. When a drug dealer is arrested, goes in front of a judge, instead of saying, we're going to put you in jail forever, we're going to seize all your money, we're going to seize all your drug houses, your houses you live in, all your cars, leave your kids and your wife with nothing, and just allow the next person to come in and do the same thing. That's exactly what's going to happen. You arrest one, you put them in jail, it's going to be somebody right behind them to come back and do the same thing. Instead of doing that, why not say, what you're going to have to do is, that dope house that you got to shut that dope house down. Use the money that you have, and we'll help you do it. You're going to use the money that you have. We're going to rebuild this house. We're going to refurbish it. And then you're going to use it and you're going to sell it, or you're going to rent it out to a family, a well-deserving family, like low-income property that they can rent and someone can live in. So that way you can actually benefit the neighborhood that you helped destroy. Use that money that was made in that neighborhood and say, hey, we're going to use it to start after-school programs for kids, buy computers for your school, the schools in your neighborhood. Hell, even create little jobs for little kids to do, like mowing yards or doing little odd jobs around neighborhoods where they can make money. That way to help rebuild that community instead of just letting it sit there and rot. I mean, but that's what I would do if I was really trying to help these communities. And for the guys that go to jail, yes, there should be different levels of convictions. But for those who are like non-violent, or for those who you can tell that just really need opportunities because they didn't have any before they went to prison, you can say, hey, the government can, won't they set up contracts and agreements with certain businesses and say, hey, if you hire a certain amount of, or a certain type of parolee, give them a job, let them make a decent wage, we will give you tax breaks, tax credits, things of that nature. It's kind of like they do with these other countries when they allow these foreigners to come over here and work, and they got contracts with these countries to allow their citizens to come up here and to work over here, and they paying these countries millions upon millions of dollars, but yet they want to help out the own infrastructure of the people in this country here. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, I know it has to do with money. The bottom line is always money. It's always something that we don't see. Somehow they're getting paid and they're benefiting from anything. I'm talking about the American government, always benefiting financially from anything you see. If you see the over 100, however many hundreds of military bases around the world, man, it's not there to protect anyone. That's there to somehow Americans benefiting from it financially in each country. I mean, you don't have other countries have bases over here. You don't see that. So how in the world are we able to do that in other all over the world? But anyway, my point is the government should be making laws to help benefit those that are damaged. Because think about it. Like I said before, the drug dealers, the money that they made it in the neighborhood. So if that money is being made in the neighborhood, when you seize it, that same money should go back to them same people who bought the drugs, or maybe use that money also to create programs to help those that bought the drugs to get off of drugs. It's other things that can be done besides just punishing people. You're punishing the drug dealers. You're punishing the drug addicts. You're not giving anybody any chance or any reason to change their way of living. Because, I mean, just think about it. How many times do you actually think a punishment has deterred anybody from doing anything? If that was I've never known a kid who only got one whooping their whole life. I know how I was growing up. I got a bunch of them growing up. It hurt. You cry for a little while, but then you sort of realize that, yeah, I can live through it. So next time when I do something, I'm going to try to be a little more discreet, try to do a little bit different, and try not to get caught. But if I get caught, well, I had to deal with my punishment, but I lived through it. And that's what I think a lot of these people that go to jail, that's how I feel that they think. It's like nobody wants to go to jail. Nobody's crazy enough to want to go to jail, or prison. And everyone tries to do everything they can to stay out of prison. But I believe that once they go, and if they live through it, then they get out and they see that there's nothing out here for them, not a lot of opportunities to be able to do anything. So what they end up doing, they end up going right back maybe to the lifestyle they lived before they went into prison. And yeah, and they still trying not to get caught. But if they get caught, you know what? They survived the first stint, and they feel they'll survive the second stint. And when they get out, they'll try to do something different. But then when that doesn't work, they might go right back to the way they were doing what they were doing. And then if they mess up and get caught again, well, hey, I survived it before. And it's just a vicious cycle. So what I say we should do, and this is why I said before in the earlier video, you go down to your local council meetings and you sit on those meetings and you learn about the laws, you just learn about what they're voting on, what they're putting their money behind, and you vote on those politicians that are actually doing things to help the community. Voting for the president, to me, that's like a waste, because it doesn't matter, because it's not like he's going to do anything for you personally. But those the mayors, and the councilmen, those are the guys that are on the street. Those are the guys you can actually go face to face and talk to on a daily basis, or see them on a daily basis when you go down to City Hall and sit in those meetings and demand changes. And if they don't change, then you all get together and say, hey, we're going to vote them out and we'll vote the next person in. And that's the type of change. That's how you start change. You don't start on a national level, you start on a local level. Oh, but then too, you do have to get your money up. Get your money up so you can help finance some of these campaigns for people to run for certain positions. Or you raise a child to become a politician so they can try to get the city council and the mayor spot, so then those kids can help the community. You raise kids to be politicians and lawyers and policemen and firemen, and go to school to get human resource jobs. Put them in secretary jobs at corporations, positions where people can make a change, or black people can make a change for black people. But before I go on a long, another 20-minute rant, I'm going to stop it right here, because I could talk about that. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother video. But with that said, if you like the contents of the video, like, share, subscribe to the video channel. Support the channel and support the community. And until next time, peace.